The crickets are so loud tonight. It's the only sound out here, really. Just me, this old house, and the ghosts of my childhood. I was just scrolling through my phone, trying to numb out. When the lights flickered, that's when the first message came, and no number. I'm outside. Let me in? Probably just a wrong number. I ignored it. But you can't ignore the feeling that follows, that cold dread that crawls up your spine when you know you're alone but don't feel like it. Then the rain started. A sudden downpour, like the sky just broke open. And then everything went black. Power's out. Of course. That's when I heard it. A knock at the front door. Soft at first, then more insistent. A woman's voice, muffled by the rain, drifted through the wood. "Baby, it's me. Your mother." A cold wave washed over me. I could barely get the words out, just a whisper to the empty room. "My mom died 3 years ago." The knocking didn't stop. It got louder, more frantic. I stared at the door, frozen, and watched as the handle began to turn slowly, deliberately. I have security cameras. I installed them after a break-in last year. My heart hammered against my ribs as I pulled up the feed on my phone. There she was, standing on my porch, soaked from the rain. It was her. My mother. Every detail was perfect, her hair, her face, but her smile. It was just a little too wide, stretched unnaturally. And her eyes. They weren't blinking. They just stared fixed into the camera. She tilted her head to the side, a gesture she never made, sharp, bird-like movement that made my skin crawl. The audio feed crackled with static, but I saw her mouth the words, clear as day. "You left me there." The memory hit me like a physical blow. The sterile white of the hospital room, the relentless beeping of the machines. I saw her on the bed, my mother, her chest still. The flatline tone, a single, piercing sound that cut through the world. The doctors were pulling me away, their voices a distant murmur. But just before they dragged me out of the room, I saw it. Her eyes snapped open. Just for a second. A final, silent accusation. Back in the present, the image on my phone changed. The thing on my porch, the thing that looked like my mother, was crying, but it wasn't tears. Thick, dark blood trickled from her eyes, staining her cheeks like ink. A floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around, my breath catching in my throat. "Why won't you look at me?" Her voice. It wasn't coming from the door anymore. It was right here in the room with me, but there was no one there. The air was empty, cold, and then the banging started, not a knock, but a violent, furious pounding on the front door. The whole house shook with it, the family photos on the walls trembled, and thin, spidery cracks began to spread across the plaster like a web. The entire structure groaned under the assault, a sound of wood and bone breaking. Panic set in, pure, primal terror. I fumbled in the dark for the old family Bible on the shelf. Its leather cover worn and familiar. My hands shook so badly I could barely hold it. I started praying, the words stumbling out of my mouth, a desperate, jumbled mess of Hail Marys and Our Fathers I hadn't said since I was a child. And then, silence. The banging stopped. The house fell quiet, the only sound my own ragged breathing and the rain outside. For a moment, I thought it was over. Then came the whispers. From every corner of the room, from the shadows, from the air itself. "You prayed too late." My eyes darted to the wall, to the small crucifix hanging above the mantelpiece. As I watched, it slowly, impossibly, turned itself upside down. I looked down at the Bible in my hands. The pages were turning black, the ink running as if the words themselves were bleeding. The lock on the front door clicked. With a long, low creak, the door swung open on its own. She was standing in the doorway. Inside the house now. She looked just as I remembered her, before the sickness. But her feet weren't touching the floor. She was hovering, just an inch above the ground. She drifted towards me, her arms opening for an embrace. I was paralyzed, unable to move, unable to scream. She wrapped her arms around me, a cold, suffocating hug. Her arms felt wrong. They stretched and elongated, wrapping around my back twice, impossibly long. She leaned in close, her breath like a winter chill against my ear, and whispered, "I'm not your mother anymore." She pulled back, and I looked into her face. Her skin began to peel away, curling back like old parchment to reveal nothing beneath. Just a black, hollow void where her features should have been. A skull made of shadow and despair. A new voice echoed in the room, deep and ancient, a sound that wasn't meant for human ears. It spoke from the hollow thing in front of me. She belonged to us the moment she died alone. The room began to warp round me. The walls melted like wax, the floor tilted, and shadows crawled up from the corners, long, grasping fingers reaching for me, pulling me down into the darkness. Morning came. The sun streamed through the windows of the quiet, rural house. Police cars were parked outside, their lights flashing silently. Inside, they found a young man, sitting alone in his chair. His body was cold. His face was a mask of pure terror, eyes wide, mouth locked in a silent scream. On the floor beside him lay his phone, its screen still lit. A new message had been received from an unknown number. It read, "I'm home now." As the camera panned away from the tragic scene, a soft, woman's voice whispered from the shadows of the dark hallway, "Baby,